If your pipeline needs a good, solid push, then it's already dead. A smaller, accurate pipeline beats a fat, bloated one any day of the week, twice on Sundays. When it comes to crunch time, when do you think they're going to be more pissed off? At the start of the month when you show them a slim pipeline, but you know what you need to do to pump it up? Or at the end of a month when the pressure's high and you close nothing? What's more likely to get you fired? Think about that. If you're speaking to a champion and they sound enthusiastic and you go, well, they sounded enthusiastic, so I'm going to put it into pipeline. Do you understand how ropey that is? Okay, great. So what's the next steps? Well, they're going to speak internally and then get back to me. Red flag. If you can't answer all three, you cannot confidently forecast. Right, welcome back to another episode of the Sell the Future podcast. This week, reps, we are going to be focusing on objection handling. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I built out some objections and we did some quick fire objection handling. Well, I'm going to take some of those objections and I'm going to break them down into more detail so you understand exactly the premise behind that objection. Now, we're going to do that in the second part of today's episode, so make sure you stay tuned for that. You definitely don't want to miss it. But I also want to focus a piece on pipeline and forecasting reps. We're in 2026 already. And the big problem I'm seeing across sales teams, and this is an industry-wide problem in SaaS, is managing pipeline. So I'm seeing bloated pipelines and I'm not seeing effective forecasting. Now, the both of them obviously go hand in hand. And this is going to be one of the key things we need to focus on in 2026 as sellers, making sure we have strong, robust, actual pipeline that allows us to accurately forecast. Why is this important? From a seller's point of view, you want to get paid, right? It's important to a business, but let's just talk about yourself. If you've got a bloated pipeline, you don't know which ops to focus on, you're in trouble. You're not going to close the ops. You're not going to actually make any money and you're going to be out the door. That's the point. The pipeline is where all of your money is coming in from. Habit number one, I want you to focus on opening pipeline as one of the first things you do. It should become part of your daily ritual. That is number one, because all of your money is coming from there, guys. So we want to make sure that we're living closest to the money. Why else are you in sales? Yeah, good. Now, guys, before we continue, do not forget to like and subscribe on your way in. If you're new, hit the like and subscribe and hit the notification because, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, we've been working furiously behind the scenes to release something that is going to change the face of sales. It's going to change the game. It's going to disrupt the industry. And you as reps are going to want to see this and put it into effect straight away. So like and subscribe, hit the notification. Let's get back to pipeline and forecasting. So what do most pipelines look like? When I see reps pipelines, a lot of them are just full of rubbish. They're huge for a start, lots of opportunities in there. All the notes look pretty generic. There could be any one of those ops. And it's very similar to how, you enter those homes of slightly elderly people and they're just hoarders. They just keep everything, all the rubbish they've accumulated over the years. They don't get rid of it. And that's exactly what sales reps are. They're hoarders. Instead of cleansing the home, you're keeping everything. Instead of cleansing your pipeline, you're keeping everything. The question is, why? Why does this happen? What's the fear? It's simple, right? You have a fear of not having enough opportunities, which stems from basically, if I don't have enough ops, I'm not going to be able to hit target. But in reality, what does that mean? It delays the actual inevitable. You need to take control of your pipeline, right? Instead of kidding yourself and lying to yourself and saying, well, look at this big pipeline I've got loads of opportunities. I'm bound to hit target. You need to be honest with yourself, reps. Yeah. You've got to be honest with yourselves. This is your money. This is your money. Why would you con yourself? Be stringent with it. strip your pipeline. If it's not an op, get rid of it. Make your pipeline as streamlined as possible. That's job number one. That will then tell you what you need to do. None of us are perfect. We don't have all the answers. But what we know is if we need to hit X, we need to have at least Y amount of pipeline, typically between 4 and 5X your target, right? Give or take. Now, once you've got that answer, you then know what you need to do. Maybe you've got enough opportunities to get to target, or maybe you need to add more quality to your pipeline. This is all about quality over quantity, guys. So how do we start stripping this pipeline? Pressure test it. Get your peers, get your manager. If you have a good relationship with your manager, get them to pressure test your pipeline. And managers, this is what you're going to go and do for your pipeline if you're not doing this with your reps already. Spot check, just pressure test any of these ops. Open up the opportunities, pick one, and read the notes that your reps have put next to it. If they can't tell you straight away exactly what opportunity it is, it's not a real opportunity. Now, then the rep needs to decide, do we turn this into an opportunity? It's missing stuff, so I know what I need to go and get information-wise because there's still a potential opportunity there. Or do I bin it because it's just not a real op? Those are your two options. But pressure test your pipeline. Managers, pressure test your reps' pipelines. Just that is the best way. Read the notes back to them. If they can't tell you exactly straight off the bat which op that is, which business that is, which organization that is, you've got no handle over the op. Now, we've established the fact that most pipelines are full of deals or ops that should have been killed off, closed, lost ages ago. But what are reps doing to confuse putting them in the pipeline in the first place? Now, either you're actually just putting everything into your pipeline, or what I'm seeing a lot of is reps are confusing interest with intent. They're confusing enthusiasm with solid next steps. Old deals don't just warm back up out of the blue. They basically just sit there and rot, and you just don't get rid of them. We've all been guilty of doing this, but you need to be honest with yourself. I spoke to that person, it's been a month, I've not heard anything back from them. Why are they still in the pipeline? Send a quick email. John, is this still a priority? No problem if it's not. Do let me know though, so I can refocus my attention elsewhere. Ping it, get a response, and then get rid. If your pipeline needs a good, solid push, then it's already dead. Because in 2026, buyers are going to be super razor sharp. They're either going to move quick or they're not going to move at all. We saw this in 2025. The longer the cycles went, the more they got drawn out and they were ghosted. They basically just died a long, slow, painful death. Now, why is this? Buyers are more educated now, more than ever. 60 to 80% of the buyer journey is complete. You've seen that stat floating around. It's complete before they even speak to you. Why? They've got access to so much information. So if they're actually already so deep into their journey before they speak to you, at that point, they're going to move fast. And if they're unable to move fast, but they're still buying intent, it's your job to make sure you keep them on track. But the ones that you haven't heard from in 1-2 months, that pipeline's gone. It's so cold, it's dead. Start again, elsewhere perhaps. Long, quiet deals are a red flag. They're a signal. Yeah, it's not just a phase. Now, reps, I want to talk to you about the why. Why are your pipelines so bloated? We need to ditch that fear of empty dashboards. Okay, I understand that you need to have pipeline to show your manager. But if it's crap pipeline, you're fucked down the line. Address it now. I've just gone through my pipeline. I've had to clean a lot of it out. I know what I need to do. I need to pack up my pipeline. This is what I'm going to do to get there. If you've got any recommendations for me, Mr. Manager, please tell me. But this is my pipeline as it currently stands. You're better off going down that route than going, hey, Mr. Manager, look at my pipeline. It's so full. I've got 250 ops in here. Aren't I amazing? Because then the pressure's going to ramp up. All right, sweet. Well, you're going to be closing a fair few of those then, right? Well, yeah, okay. And when it comes to crunch time, when do you think they're going to be more pissed off? At the start of the month when you show them a slim pipeline, but you know what you need to do to pump it up? Or at the end of a month when the pressure's high and you close nothing? What's more likely to get you fired? Think about that. Now, all of this leads to forecasting. Reps, you've all been there. I'm going to do 50K this month. I'm going to do 100K this month. I'm going to do 250K this quarter. And then you've missed by an absolute mile. Hands up or note in the comments if this is you that I'm talking to and you've been there. I've been there. And why does forecasting fall so far short of the mark? Why is your forecasting so difficult? We've all been there. I've found it difficult to forecast sometimes. It's all boils down to that pipeline. If you're forecasting based on vibes and enthusiasm of the person you've spoken to or their last call that you had with them ages ago, but it was a good call, you're in trouble. If you're speaking to a champion and they sound enthusiastic and you go, well, they sounded enthusiastic, so I'm going to put it into pipeline. Do you understand how ropey that is? Do you understand how you're on a wobbly bridge? You're not in a secure place. Why are they in pipeline? Well, the champion saw it and loved it. Super enthusiastic. Okay, great. So what's the next steps? Well, they're going to speak internally and then get back to me. Red flag. Here's what you should be forecasting. Instead of forecasting good vibes and energy and enthusiasm, forecast concrete next steps. We've gone through everyone in the business. The next step is just getting the AOK from finance, but finance are joining my call on Monday at 12 p.m. They have a deadline to get this signed off by X, Y, and Z, right? Buyer-owned deadlines. Concrete next steps, buyer-owned deadlines. Keep everyone on track with a map, mutual action plan, economic buyer involvement. Right? It's so important that you at least know who it is that's signing this off and is that person in charge of the budget. If your forecasts are changing based on how excited your prospect sounds, you are seriously gambling. You're back on that wobbly, rickety bridge, about to fall off, most likely. Now, when it comes to forecasting, I've boiled it down to the only 3 questions that matter. Reps, pressure test yourself and your knowledge against these 3 questions because forecasting's wide and you're probably getting overwhelmed. Stick to the rule of 3. 3 questions. These are the only 3 questions that matter when forecasting. Number 1, what happens if they don't buy? And I mean real consequences. No fluffy BS. Well, they'll just carry on plodding along, but, it'd be nice to have because actually they'd like to do this. No. If they don't buy, you've identified a huge gap that's costing them X in revenue per month, per quarter, per year. Real consequence to not buying. Then you've identified, okay, they need to move with something. Is it going to be us or is it going to be someone else? I'm not sure right now, but we've got a good chance because of X, Y, and Z and because we know they need to buy. Who signs and who can stop it? 2 questions in one there. We're going to count it as 1. Who signs and who can stop it? And I'm talking about names, guys. I'm not talking about sales director, finance director. That's titles. I'm talking about John in finance. He signs off. James, the COO, could potentially stop this. Jack, the CFO, has the final say. He is the one who puts pen to paper. And number 3, what specific event triggers the decision? Is it budget approval? Is it board meeting? Is it contract expiration of competitor? Whatever. What is the event that triggers the decision? If you can't answer all 3, you cannot confidently forecast. So what happens if they don't buy? Real consequences. Who signs it and who can stop it? Names, not job titles. And what event triggers the decision being made? Now, guys, going back to the pipeline piece, right? We're talking about forecasting here from your pipeline. How do you clean your pipeline without destroying your ego or whatever it is that's making you hold on to those ops? You want to be, oh, well, my peers have got, 1 million in pipeline and I've got 200K. Let me boost it up. Or let me keep all these. If I trim it down, I'm going to have, 100K. They've got 1 million. You're not comparing yourself to them. You're looking at your pipeline. What's a real opportunity? You need to be ruthless at this stage, reps. Kill deals aggressively. Go out looking to qualify out, not in. Pressure test them with the toughest questions. Do I know who can sign this off? Have I actually uncovered any pain, or are we just a nice to have? Put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Would you buy from yourself? To do that, you need to understand the business. You need to understand the absolute intricate detail of this opportunity. If you haven't found pain, it's not an op, because there's no urgency for them to buy. And if there's no need for them to buy, they ain't going to buy. Why would they? People don't just throw money around for the sake of it, unless you're Floyd Mayweather. Remove or at least downgrade anything that doesn't have a next step. You could have a great opportunity, but if the next step is I'll get back to you, you ain't got a next step. Downgrade that opportunity. Try and take control of the opportunity in the meantime, and so you can upgrade it back up. But in the meantime, no next step, downgrade. And stop carrying deals just in case they come in. Everyone's holding on to this just in case. I don't want to let go. What if I let go and then someone rings them in 6 months and they buy? So fucking what? So they did. But you ain't doing squat with it. Don't just hold on to it just in case. Just in case someone else gets it in a year's time. You don't have to worry about that. You'll be long gone. You'll be fired. A smaller, accurate pipeline beats a fat, bloated one any day of the week, twice on Sundays. And guys, forecasting shouldn't be about being overly positive for the sake of being positive. It's about being honest early enough in the month or the year to be able to be in a position to fix it. And if you end up being surprised at the end of your month or end of quarter, you weren't forecasting. You were just hoping all along. That is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Address it now. Yeah. Take the pain now so you can fix it before you get to end of month, before you get to end of quarter. Because if it comes to the 31st of March and you've got a bloated partner and you've lied to yourself all quarter, your manager's going to be pissed. Their manager's going to be pissed. You're going to be pissed because you've got no money. And to be honest, you're probably not going to have a job. Guys, if you found that useful, as I've said before, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, I said to you at the start of this podcast, we've gone through pipeline and forecasting, and now we're going to focus on objections. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we did some quick fire objections. Well, I am now going to run through just a handful of them today. And the whole point of this is understanding why we're saying what we're saying and what are we trying to achieve. It's great memorizing rapid fire objections, but we need to understand the exact objection itself, right? So we did one of these a couple of weeks ago. If you missed that, go check it out. We're going to do the same again. Now, we're under contract for another 12 months. Tough one, right? The response we gave last time was totally understand. Thank you for the clarity. If your current solution stops performing to your standards inside those 12 months, what happens then? Great question. Why is it a great question? Now, as long as you're speaking to someone with a bit of authority on this and is a decision maker in the business, you're pressure testing them to see if their current solution does mess up. Do they have the appetite and genuine capability to make a change within contracts? That is why we ask this. Instead of going, well, we're under contract for another 12 months. Okay, when does your contract expire? Well, in March. So give me a call in January. Okay, great. Noted. I'll do that. You're not going to achieve anything, because by the time you call them in Jan, they'll say, oh yeah, give me a call in a month's time. We'll look at it. We'll look at it. We'll look at it. Bam. Renewed. Opportunity gone. Forget waiting. This is the thing. Everyone thinks that's the right thing to do. Well, I'll give them a call a couple of months before their contract's up. Okay, you may end up having to do that, but firstly, have you asked them or pressure tested them, is there a capability of them breaking contracts if their vendor fucks up royally? How do we find that out? By asking this question. Totally understand. Thank you for the clarity. If your current solution stops performing to your standards inside those 12 months, let's say in the next 2 months, things start falling apart and they're not living up to the bargain, you're paying for this. What actually happens then? Just out of interest. Well, Neil, we're stuck in a contract. So, unfortunately, we've paid up front. We'll have to see it through. We'll have no appetite to break that because if we bring another vendor on board, we're now paying double bubble. Okay, got it. I will call you in January, but I'm just going to pop a reminder / placeholder in your diary now. So if you don't mind accepting that, at least you're not going to be caught off guard the next time I call you. Does that sound fair enough to you? Of course, Neil, go and do that. Don't just do that straight off the bat. Pressure test, because if the solution does stop performing, they're paying on a monthly, for example, well, actually, we have the ability to stop the direct debit based on X, Y, and Z metrics that they said they have to deliver on. Okay, how are they currently performing? These are all different types of questions that can then lead on from what they're doing, all right? Always pressure test. We're under contract for another 12 months. Otherwise, you're just going to end up facing a renewal. Put the graft in now. Ask the difficult questions. Your implementation timeline is too long. Response? I hear you. Nobody wants a drawn-out rollout. What specific time frame did you ideally have in mind to start seeing results? This shouldn't even really be an objection. Your implementation timeline's too long. But I do hear it. I do hear it. Implementation time was far too long. Okay, great. What specific time frame did you have ideally in mind to start seeing results? Well, we need to get up and running ASAP. Okay, here's what we can do. We can actually stagger the implementation. So you get 90% of the benefit now within the next 4 weeks. And then we tie up the rest to make sure it's completely seamless. You won't notice a difference other than your revenue going from X to Y. Sound good? Yes. Now, this is a tougher one. We tried something like this before and it didn't work. They've already been burnt. Right? Burnt once, twice shy, right? I'm sorry to hear that. Being burned before makes anyone cautious. Address exactly what's going on there, right? This is super important. This first time, I'm sorry to hear that. You need to be empathetic with them, right? Instead of going, well, it wasn't us. Well, what good's that going to do you? They see you the same as their person that let them down in the first place. That's how they see you. You need to understand that. I'm really sorry to hear that. Being burned before is bound to make anyone cautious. I'm with you on that, right? That's why you're saying that. You're empathizing, you're relating to them. It'd make me cautious. Do you mind me asking what happened exactly so we can ensure that we don't repeat those mistakes by other party? Or if it was us in the first place, we just make sure we don't repeat those mistakes. Now, the whole point of this, to get to the second part and get them to answer that question, you need to nail that first part. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. I've been burned before when I'm purchasing something. Obviously, it makes me cautious, so I totally get where you're coming from. John, do you mind me asking what happened exactly, just so we can ensure that we don't repeat those mistakes that vendor X made? Great way to get them to open up. Now, imagine not empathizing at the start. We tried something like this before and it didn't work. Oh, right. What happened? Well, their walls are still up, aren't they? Their walls are up. You haven't done anything to bring the walls down, which means you haven't earned the right to get your question answered. If you want to ask them a question, they're doing you a favor. They're doing you a favor. You've got to earn the right. Bring the walls down for them and then make it easier for them to answer the question. Don't come in with an attitude, well, it wasn't us. We told you. Here you go with our competitor. That's what's going to happen to you. Now, let's talk about our product. Bollocks, you've already lost them. Empathy first is so important with this. These are the bits of nuance that human beings can pick up that artificial intelligence just can't quite get right, all right? Finally, we need to see a proof of concept before committing. Understand what they're talking about. Totally understand. Committing without proof feels risky. What exactly would you need to see during that POC to feel 100% confident putting pen to paper? That's a good question, right? You know what's going to be important to them. Now, if they come back, why do we ask this question? Because we want to know if they come back with some wild demands or expectations, you now know what you're dealing with and you can manage them. Hey, we can give you the data, but we can't guarantee that at the exact time you ring them, they're going to pick up. What we do is guarantee X, Y, Z. If we can hit 80% accuracy rates for you here. Are you good to shake hands and progress forward? Because equally, if we can only hit 20%, we're happy to shake hands and walk away, right? It's all about parameters and frameworks. You can't have wild negotiations or wild asks, right? People can just ask for anything if you give them no remit and no framework and skeleton to work inside. That's the whole point of this. We need to see a proof of concept for committing. Totally understand, what does success look like from a trial perspective to you? Get their wild asks out the way, manage their expectations, pin them into a framework where we go, if we hit X, Y, and Z, can we agree that that would be an overall success? Get them to agree to a success metric. What does success look like? And then we go, we can hit this, this, and this. Equally, if we don't hit this, happy to shake hands and walk away. That is the whole premise. We need to see a proof of concept before committing. Sure, no worries, we do a trial. What's wrong with that? You know they're asking for a trial, right? We need to see proof of concept. Yeah, we can run you a 2-week trial. Great. You run the 2-week trial. Hey, how was that? Well, it was shit. We didn't do any deals. Well, hold on. We didn't guarantee that we can get you deals. It's too late. Because you didn't set the expectations and manage them from the start, from the outset, you've now lost them because they've gone off on a tangent and gone, well, we didn't get any deals from that. Sack it off. Address what success looks like for them and then readdress then remanage their expectations, because what they're going to be looking for 9 times out of 10 is going to be wild. We expect to do 5 deals before we commit to anything. Okay, that's insane. How do you expect to do 5 deals? Well, because when we ring someone, they'll pick up and do this, this, and this. Right. Okay, well, you do understand that we provide you this, but we can't guarantee the psychology behind what the CFO is going to be thinking of the person you've called or the person that you've called when you call them on a Tuesday afternoon, right? You understand that, yes? Okay, here's what we can do. We can arm your sales team with the best in breed contact and company data because you don't have it right now. So when they call, instead of getting dead tones 4 out of 5 times, they're going to hit the right number. 5 out of 5 times, they're going to hit the right email. How does that sound to you? If we can hit 4 out of 5 right phone numbers, 5 out of 5 right emails, does that look like success that we can shake hands on and move forward with? Equally, if only one number's correct, happy to shake hands and walk the other way. This is the kind of conversations that you want to be having. And you need to understand exactly what they're asking for to know what you need to say so you can manage the outcome that you want. Okay, so let's run through those again very, very quickly. We're under contract for another 12 months, basically telling you, hey, we're using someone else. We're in contract. We can't use you. See you later. Pressure test them. What happens if that person or the vendor doesn't deliver anymore? What happens then? The timeline's too long implementation-wise? No, I totally hear you. Don't want something long and drawn out. What specific timelines do you have in mind? We tried something like this before. Didn't work. Really sorry. Empathize first before asking the question. Yeah. Get an understanding of what happened and what went wrong. That information and knowledge gives you power. And we need to see a POC. Okay, yeah, cool. Well, if you offer a trial straight off the bat without setting clear success metrics, kiss your time and that deal goodbye, because you are on a hiding to nothing. People have expectations, guys. If you don't manage them, that's your point. That's your job as a sales rep. Manage negotiations. Manage their asks, because people will ask for whatever they want to ask for. But if you can't deliver on that, then what are you going to do? Do a little merry dance with them, and then what? At the end of it, oh, well, no deal. I've just wasted 3 months. Great. Guys, hope you found that useful. I have built an objection handling masterclass. The link is in the description below. If objection handling is a problem for you, you need to download this. Why? I always ask why. Because this is a masterclass. It doesn't just give you the answers to memorize. It gives you that, but it'll give you the thinking behind it. It will give you what the objection is really asking. Yeah. What is the real objection? It will give you an understanding behind the words that your prospect is saying. And so you then know not only what to say, but you know why you're saying it. Download your copy now and level the fuck up because 2026 is going to be brutal. You think 2025 was bad for you sellers? You're in for a nightmare. I already know this. Look at the market. Look how complex it is. You need to become the best version of a seller the world has ever seen. And that is a fact. That's not exaggeration. Guys, that is it for another episode of the Sell the Future podcast. If you found that useful, and hey, if you're a new viewer and you've stayed to the end, I really appreciate you. Do me a favor. If you liked it, please give it a like. If you want to drop a comment, I'll respond to every single one. And if this was useful for you, do not forget to subscribe. All of this will help me get my message out further, but it'll also mean that you don't miss my next message. And if you haven't had enough of me and you want more, click on this video right here, and I'll see you guys in there.